It is my supreme pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Stan Padilla. Stan has said, art is an expression to me of a healthy society. He is a Yaqui Chicano artist spanning many disciplines. He's a prominent painter in the Sacramento area, a longtime consultant in Native American art education programs. He writes Native American stories for children. He's a mentor for the United Auburn Indian Community Tribal School. And last but not least, the topic of today, he is a prominent muralist here in Sacramento. Stan's work delves into theories of spirituality and folklore while celebrating traditional knowledge, indigenous communities, and social justice. He's a member of the highly regarded artist collective Royal Chicano Air Force and has participated in Sacramento's Wide Open Walls. I think you're all probably familiar with that one. He is active in the Auburn area, having received the Auburn Arts Commission State of the Community Award for Culture for his numerous contributions. And locally, he has completed murals around Southside Park, Washington Community Center, California Health Services, and his collaborative 3-story mural fight honoring the Royal Chicano Air Force, which you can see at the Golden One Center. So please join me in welcoming our speaker, Stan Padilla.
So I have more slides than we have time for, so I'm going to move a little quicker if you don't mind. So while you're looking at Southside Park.
Can you lower the light?
Yeah, we will in a second here. Please be patient with us. And muralism is one of the world's oldest arts. When first man of all cultures, the first people of the earth, picked up the colored earth and rubbed it on the wall, was the first muralism in all over the world. Then we began to develop the painterly skills, and we began to develop more technical abilities with beeswax, with oils, and various techniques in which the murals became the walls. For example, look in this room. We have walls, but what happened? They're anemic. You know, what happened? We all have high blood pressure and the walls are anemic. Maybe if we enliven the walls, our stress level would go down. So over time, muralism has developed as a technology. I began in the early 1960s, which was the cultural revival, the cultural ethnic social justice movement, in which we basically said we had no walls. We laugh today when people say, we're street artists. And I go, oh, nice. We were street artists because that's where we were. We didn't have, we didn't choose to go there. That's all we had were the walls on the streets. And so I'm reminded of the song by Simon and Garfunkel, which says, the walls, the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls. In the 60s, when people didn't have a voice, there wasn't a justice. They couldn't speak truth out. They wrote on the walls. And then that became a developing storytelling. Then you could tell that story and everyone could read it and it was free. And so that's kind of where we pick up. This is one of Sacramento's most iconic murals, one of the most reproduced murals. Almost every day in some media, you will see pictures of this. This is on the historical California state and national historical record as a place of culture, as a place where Cesar Chavez first went on his first long march, came to speak of peace and social justice right here. So this new mural movement, new old movement, ancient future movement, really is a social contract. Murals are not just big paintings. They are an architectural agreement with communities, with cities, with counties, with states, with federal governments, with individuals. We have to negotiate a contract with one another. the importance of these walls are going to speak now. For example, these walls are speaking in a, if we begin to muralize them, they're going to maybe speak bilingually, biculturally, multilingually. And so we have to agree what's going to happen there. And that's part of the fun of the social justice, is we have something to say and we can speak for ourselves. Do you agree? And we begin to work. And that's what happened here. As one of, this is a WPA works from the 1930s, amphitheater. We were chosen, we advanced ourselves to paint this mural. This was a Royal Chicano Air Force mural in the classic days of the Centro de Artistas Chicanos, which was early to mid 70s, which we were developing, and we began to speak about our culture and what is our place in this culture. This is my panel. Each artist had a panel. In the movement, in the Chicano arts movement, I'm kind of a strategist. I'm a navigator. It's like, oh, we should do this. This is how we're going to do it. Others had different, everybody had different roles. So mine was always to advance the architecture, the social architecture. And mine was blazing color, that our language was blazing color. Or now we say tropical color, which means a heat-filled emotional feeling. They go, why do you paint in those colors? And basically, because we're Mexicans. And we like that, you know, that's our life. We live by the equator. So what emerged was, for me, this butterfly first emerged there at Southside Park. Southside Park, you know, at that 70s, we had bodyguards to paint here. I mean, it was a very rough, it was the center for, in Sacramento, excuse me, for the other first job in this culture. Prostitution was the center at that time. It was the center of what used to be called Wino Park. So in painting, you know, it was not popular at this time. This is not advancing.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. So this is kind of a view. Everybody had their team. Everybody had their crew, and our crews were basically our families at that time. All of our kids were raised to do this one way or another. This was taken a few years back, the remnants of the folks, the senior folks that came around this. And what we're going to see now is this social agreement.
Oh, look at the.
We were being honored by the Lawyers for the Arts, I think. But most importantly, this social agreement with the community is, this belongs to the community. Everybody shares in it. Different cultures, different ceremonies. Every week, you know, all cultures, all people, all ages. This was an event sponsored by the Crocker Art Museum to reflect back on those times. We're in a remembering stage where we're being honored now for these things that were dishonorable when we did them, and now we're being honored. That's history. So this was the descendants and those who, the last folks, there's only 2 remaining artists living. And then I think 5 apprentices still living. So that was that. We're going to switch over to Macy's area, the metamorphosis. The mural, the butterfly flew from Southside Park about 10 blocks over here, and it landed on this wall. This in the this was 69, we got the contract, 70 we started painting, 79 the contract, 1980 we started painting. The World Guinness Book of Records, the largest painted butterfly in the world, 5 stories. This was one of Sacramento's first commissioned public artworks. There were 4, and we were chosen to do this. It's a 5-story mural, Metamorphosis, a new way to look at social change. We were tired of disruption and revolution and one group overturning the next group and that group overturning the next one. We said, metamorphosis, if you study nature, metamorphosis takes the old and it renews itself and it keeps going. It doesn't make garbage. It doesn't make outcasts or minorities of people. It maintains an equal respect. And so that's how we worked. Again, process. All of our teams work. We each have our own flight plans, our own intentions and what we're doing. And we go at it and we have a trust. We become a family. We trust and we love one another and we care for one another. We teach one another. We become students and teachers and mentors all simultaneously. This is a reflection back. I don't know if you know this mural, but it needs renovation. We're trying to get it renovated. If anybody wants to sponsor that, you can write a check today and we'll be up there tomorrow. No one wants to remember us. Everybody wants to paint a mural. No one wants to maintain a mural. Again, these are all old slides and everything. We didn't have cameras, cell phones, any of that in those days. We were yelling back and forth 5 stories instead of talk. Now we talk on cell phones to each other.
Yeah.
So these are the 3 principal mural painters from that time and since the beginning. The tallest one is the only one currently living, and we miss them and carry on. And those 3 then envision this triptych mural, which is at the golden one, which is again flight. It's when the butterfly actually took flight and flew, and this is a relief, bas-relief mural. The one in the center has 278 individual hand-carved and painted parts. And I think you'll see it in time. And each one are made of different parts like a mosaic. This is the assembly. 13 feet wide, 1 story tall. So this is 3 stories tall. Each one weighs approximately 1,900 pounds. They were put in place on the rafters and through magic and just hope and bubble gum and tape and glue, because I was a nervous wreck. They had to be dropped absolutely in place and not be off by 1/4 of an inch by steel cleats. And it was nerve-wracking because one little slip and it was all over. This is a close-up you can see, and this is the panel I and my crew did. My crew are my daughters, and this one my daughters and granddaughters. So I was the only guy, and I got outvoted on most. They go, no, we want something a little more feminine, a little more girly. And I'm going, do I have to? Yeah, I did. This was the inauguration. I think it was early in March, in which Mr. Cerna, Supervisor Cerna, honored us, and we were honored by the King's Association. And I don't know what you call that whole arena thing, configuration, honored by all those folks as making a contemporary contribution to our culture and to culture in general in Sacramento. Now, we're going to start to focus just on my panel because I'm here. I can't speak for everyone else. So this is an exact replica drawing. It's going to be shown here on the campus, February 2026, in which our murals are going, our public artwork is going to be, there's going to be an exhibit here in the gallery. So this, I made an exact replica. This is the small kind of, this is what the city council and the arts council saw, the small sketch. And then it kept growing and defining itself. I am a traditional mural painter. I'm not, while being intuitive, I am also, I make maquettes and models and study light and color and all of this. If you look, this is a foam core replica, small one, just to see how the light would be, how the engineering would be. This is near the completion of it. It was all put together except for the butterfly, and that was the last thing that was put into place. The butterfly sticks out 18 inches off the wall and is 36 inches in diameter. If you go online, flight.com, there's a time lapse putting this together. It's about a 2-minute, putting it all together in time lapse. See, this is kind of the view of where the assembly line, 152 butterflies, all hand carved, sanded, and painted. So all these pieces were put together, hand painted, in a studio, and then assembled in a bigger studio, and then brought down to the arena. Now we're going to move a little bit. This is an individual project of mine. This is in an alley on 7th Street between I and J Street. The dual panel. It was the calling of the ancients, and you'll see what I mean by that. It's a portal or a doorway within a doorway in a doorway. This was for wide open walls, and what I asked for was the ugliest environment, the ugliest alley, and the horriblest wall, and I wanted to prove I could make it beautiful and respectable and sacred again, and that's what happened. We'd go in every morning and wash the urine, take our sage and our smudge and clean the area. As we woke up the unhoused, then they would stand in line to get smoke and bless for the day. And that's how it was. And we asked them to take care of it. This was so the entrance to social introspection. And that was the idea. As you're walking down the wall, that you saw something that uplifted you. You could go somewhere and have somewhere respectable to be around and be, have as your environment, you know, and everybody equally. So on one side, it was that, then sacred universal symbols, doorway within a doorway, and all of the writing out the outside. I work with one of the best street calligraphers, and I asked him, please, would you protect our walls, and would you do us the honor to use your tagging, your work in a respectful manner for us. And we wrote the names of all of the ancient Aztec and Nahuatl gods of positivity, that the old words, the old gods would be out again. And you can see it all around.
Aztecs and what else?
I'm hard of hearing.
We're gonna get questions at the end.
No.
Yeah.
At the end.
So this is kind of what it looks like. On the right were sacred words, uplifting, meaningful words. And it started with love. And then it went, you know, spirit, love, blood, biculturally speaking and with symbols. People would come rub on it, especially the unhoused would come and say, thank you, and be blessed by it. And that was the goal. You know, that was the goal, to take something ordinary and make it extraordinary. You know, it didn't have to be it's not a church, a temple, or a library, or a state congress. It's just everyday life, but we all deserve that. This is the wall. It's off of Franklin Boulevard. I forget what is the Franklin association, business association, took the posters, which you see in my hands, and they blew them up to be murals as a memory and the same kind of thing. The respectability of this, the cultural nuance, the social justice, the beauty of the avenue. Well, this is in Mayor Steinberg's office. And what he asked me to do was, again, put something there that represented the roots of truth and justice, what he called truth and justice. I called it a painting. But, it represented something, again, meaningful and purposeful. And I think what he called it, it's a kind painting. It's kind, it's gentle, for everybody. We're going to move around the region because I don't live in Sacramento. I live, my studios are an hour and a half north of here. This is at Sierra College. Sierra College commissioned me to do this small little, it's not quite a mural, but they call it a mural, but I'm going, no, I'm talking stories. But it's of the first of the land of Sierra College before it became a college, to be respectful of the First Nations. What would you call, now we say it's land acknowledgement. Now they took this, interpreted words in all their meetings to have land acknowledgement, that we acknowledge who was here before us and we show respect for them. And that's what I do in paint. So that's, we work together. This, we're moving again, this is at the tribal center for the tribe I work for, a United Auburn Indian Tribal Community. This is the preschool. This is 150 feet long. And it's low levels for the preschoolers to follow the river and to see their culture right before them and learn from that age. Have a fun job. Many of those pictures are from their ancestral homes or their grandmothers. Some of the kids, this was their great grandmother. Near the tribal center, there was Auburn commissioned me with the tribe to do a cultural, what do you call those? Electrical boxes that you see all over. We were one of the first to start doing that in Placer County, and then it spread all over. And this was a tribal remembrance. This was a summer school project with my students. So they were learning culture, respect, social responsibility, social justice. This is the first time, this is right by the rancheria, the reservation, but wasn't so respectable. And there was a place for them. And it was based on the flicker. And here's the mama flicker, speaking out. And they learned muralism, or a little bit of mural. It's not so big, but. So after that, the city Arts Council liked it so much, they invited me downtown, which is a big deal if you know Auburn. From South Auburn to downtown is a social movement. I can get there in 5 minutes in a car, but it took 300 years to get there. So this is right in the center of town. This was the mayor's family compound business and barbershop and all that. And what I proposed was the native rose, like a rose garden, but a native rose, not roses from England or pictures of different roses, but what would have grown there naturally. So this is the process of it. So all those things that the dragonfly, the hummingbird, and the butterfly that flitter around from place to place, And they know social justice because they don't care what pole or what plant and where it is or who owns it or doesn't own it. They all live together. And they all drink the same nectar and share it. So after that, there was a veterans garden, and they said, we need something in this garden to represent the spiritual nature of the first responders and the experience of the veterans. It's a very unique, holistic healing center and garden that the veterans work on. So I was commissioned to do a guardian angel. And I did it a little bit different. And as you'll see, this is the full-scale drawing. It's 4 feet by 8 feet, all hand-carved relief. She was praying and healing at the same time, and that was a social movement that right there. I was called on the carpet 3 times that angels don't have 4 hands. And I'm going, well, somebody give me some proof of that. You know, I want to know that that isn't true. Healing the earth, healing the veterans, healing the energy. It's also a garden now where they grow gardens and the veterans can come and eat. So this is kind of the finish, 4 by 8, and then we made a special custom metal steel frame that it just slipped into, and then powder coated it blue. She's been there now, I'm not quite sure, maybe 5 years, and it's impeccable. The color is exactly what I predicted. Unfortunately, some of the veterans are gone that helped. But she faces the east, so every morning she lights up, and then she has lights, and she's lit up all night, so that anybody who's hurting or helping or needs help can go there and be with her. These are some of my tribal students who come. They're learning. They come to help me. They come to support me, and so you can kind of see the scale of her, you know. So the second question was, I thought angels had blonde hair. And I go, well, she's olive skinned and she has dark hair and 4 hands and she loves everybody. Is there something wrong with that? And it didn't seem to be after a while. Now she's famous in Auburn, or well known. But at the time, again, it was like, so having justice for angels was part of my job at that time. I had to, and there she is, you know, the jewel of the feminine, the jewel of the mother, the jewel of the love, the jewel of calmness and tranquility. You had a question?
What street is that on? Where's the Veterans Center?
That's on, it's next to the State Theater on Highway, that's
Lincoln Way?
That's the Lincoln Highway. That's the first transcontinental road that goes right through Auburn. It's called the Lincoln Highway. This is also in Auburn. Now we're in South Auburn. If you know South Auburn is, this is the area called the Greens. This is our multi-ethnic community that is not always represented downtown. It's an unincorporated part of Auburn, a low tax base, and so it doesn't get a lot of attention. So of course I had to step up and give it something. Right across the street is a continuation high school. This is, in this park is where all the rites of passages, the quinceañeras, the baptisms, the barbecues all go on. And so what I painted these murals, I mean, they're 3 stories, these columns, and they're multicultural, as you see, all spray painted, because we had a short amount of time to do it. It's a rough area, and I had to have security there. And so we had to do it real fast, few days. But it gave a respectful representation for everybody. It spoke, as the title of this talk is Walls Speak, Murals Speak, it spoke to everybody equally, you know, that we can all get along, we can all work together, we're all connected to these same columns, you know, how do we do that? This is a private commission. This is the biggest estate in Weimar area near Colfax. And I did a commission ceiling, a blue ceiling, as you can see. It's big. There's like, I think 18 panels. And those panels are, let me see, they're 4 by 10 feet. And what it is a bursting night sky, a new, this is a international kind of spa think tank retreat sanctuary place. So you see, we did it outside, all with lake water and the color blue, you know, this unifying spiritual kind of blue. This was done over 2 weeks in the sun. I work in, I live not too far from here, outside a lot. My studios are not that big because I work outside a lot. I work in the sun. I use hoses. I use rollers. I use everything. I love to be outside. The birds come land there. The deer come around and watch me. And that's how I like to work. I'm not an exclusivist. I'm stuck in a studio. This was a unique project in which I did a maquette. It was 3 feet by 5 feet for the Miwok Elementary School in Elk Grove, which is an indigenous elementary school. They then took it and blew it up 13 feet by 25 feet and put it up on the wall. So it's another application of murals where I did the groundwork, I did the, you know, conceptualization and painting, and then technically we blew it up. They blew it up, I did. That's a lot of painting. That's like weaving a basket, only with paint, weaving with light. So that was working with the school district, the city of Elk Grove, and the tribe and Sky River Casino collaborating on all of this. Mount Diablo, which is their private area, the roots and the source of the Consumnes River, all living in a kind of woven harmony. So that was a really fun project. And then you press the button and you have a mural. Then they put it up. I didn't have to do anything. I spent the check real fast. But this is a church, a painting I did for a prison, a youth prison ministry, Christian ministry. And I didn't want to do it because, not that I had anything, I'm not a real church going person. I'm not a Christian. I have deep respect and everything, but there was something about the forgiveness, the love, and what these people were doing and the results they got from the kids that I said, I'll do it. Ordinarily, I don't like to paint crucifixions and things, but forgiveness and resurrection, you got me. I'll do it. This is my students working and learning. This was for the elders, their new elder center, and they did this big painting. So those squares are 3 feet by 3 feet. So, and then in the center, they made traditional crafts and put it in there and they painted it all. And so they're learning culture, muralism, respect for elders, and again, social contract again. We're connected. Youth and elders are connected. These are in-class work. This is the Nishanan Maidu creation myth. So we study it, talk it, sing it, learn it, write it, and paint it. And then it's theirs. And this all happened here in this area, right around Yuba City. Then I work with the older students in, in spray painting and in contemporary, of course, spray painting, dancing, and tattoos. That's the interest. So I work in all those areas with them. Again, self-respect, self-determination, for knowledge, documentation. You are somebody, document what you do, share it. This was an event we did in the town of Lincoln, and it was the town of Lincoln, the Lincoln Arts Center, and the local Nishanan people. And it's using the natural pigments of the earth, which is one of my specialties, is using, I'm a paint maker, and going back to the origins. I'm going to move a little bit faster because our time is moving along. This is a big project, interior mural, bas relief, commissioned by Mercy Corporation for a affordable housing unit, experiential housing unit in Auburn for low income. That has to include art, social services, communal workings together, kitchens and everything. So 25 feet long, 7 feet tall, the flow of the river. And again, paying respect to what was there before the new building went in. What was there on the land? I think we're going to see some, details here. So it goes from left to right, and it's how the river flows. A river runs through it. Culture runs through, time runs through. Auburn, as you know, is a river town, we have the Freeway 80, but parallel with that, it parallels the river. These are the parts before. So these are all hand carved, and so they're in relief. There's 190 separate pieces, all fused together. Now, as I mentioned, I'm not just a backwoods painter. I travel all over the world studying. I love Jackson Pollock. This is at the MoMA, New York City. That's a mural. I mean, that's an experience. I learned from it. I don't know if you knew Jackson Pollock painted on the floor. He lived in New Mexico. He studied with the Navajo Indian sand painting, and that's where that all came out of. It was this, he wasn't, don't call it dripping. He was conscious of where he was putting things. Look at those things. That's not chaos. That's order. This is Cuba, studying Cuban post-revolutionary murals. This is north of the Himalayas in the area called Ladakh. It's a Union territory. Fascinated with Buddhist muralism. I worked with a muralist there, and in some of these are monasteries are way out of the way. They'll be like 2 and 3 days walk from a settlement. Well, you notice the fancy art materials. So the results are amazing. This is central Mexico. This is one of the high points of Coachictlan is called, and was an ancient warrior center. And this is the height of muralism in that time. So to study those, I study colors. Well, I was studying this color, which you're going to see before I finally found the roots of it. So not only do I study muralism in general, I am a scholar of my own cultural muralism. This is Teotihuacan, the murals, very famous. That's just one color, red oxide and white. Getting all this tinting out of that, here it is studying the old colors in the old temples, studying the original, touching that original, getting a direct experience, breathing, smelling, tasting what that is. And this, if you study it, there's 4 basic colors, like what we were working with in some of the past slides. And then this green and blue, which was the height of civilization at that time. This, year and a half ago, I was in the Yucatan jungle studying. This ancient blue has been revived again. And this, I went to the meet in the village where it's being remade again and reused. And that's what these slides are. It's a unique combination of plants and minerals and a technology. It's one of the world's first synthetic paints, thousands of years older than Europe. It was imported to Europe. Europe didn't have a natural blue. It had to be imported from Egypt, Mexico, or Afghanistan. And we're going to see here, this is the making of that paint. And we're going to follow this blue into Europe. I spent the last 2 summers in Florence. So these are the internal chambers of this is called the Bonampak murals. There's that blue, and there's the 4 colors. And that's what has been worked with. When you see this palette, you know this is ancient work, whether you're in Egypt, Indonesia, Mexico, Peru, anywhere, Switzerland. Early man had that. And then the full palette of mural painting came in the fresco era in Europe, which during the age of colonialism and imperialism, when they went out all over the world and got all those colors and brought them back through the Silk Road and through all of the colonial ships and slave trading. That's a slit. A slave, it was a slip, but that was part of that. This was, I've studied the Mexican mural masters intensely. Siqueiros, Orozco, and Rivera, you know, I've seen almost all of their works, touched, smelled, studied. It's one of my favorite ones that I always go to visit in the Bellas Artes, the National Museum. There's Diego Rivera called Man at the Crossroads. And this is kind of the beginning of our era. What we're experiencing now is this man who could move genetics and string theory and quantum physics and create a world. So that gives you the scale of it. It was first done in Detroit for the Rockefeller Commission. Well, that wasn't exactly popular with industrialists. So it was taken down and then repainted in Mexico. Diego Rivera, the picnic in the Alameda, picnic in the park or something that's called, very famous. And all of these are famous people, including Rivera, Boat, and Posada, the printmaker. The modern Mexican intellectual mural movement. It was called at that time the re-envisioning of the new Mexico, which we know we're experiencing now. That vision is changing, but so then, I'm sorry, I'm moving so fast. This is the works of Raphael in the cathedral at Siena, which is I studied Raphael, Giotto, Fra Angelico. Those are my three major, because they were the first to use Afghanistani blue, lapis, blue paintings. So when I'm in Europe, I study 24/7. I'm out early in the morning, late at night studying. And of course, it's mainly in churches. Yeah, some museum, but mainly it's all in churches. This is Fra Angelico. Look at those colors. Look at that for his time. And this was in a monastery. And each of the cells, they call them cells, but you know, they're the cloistered little, if we were in Buddhists, we'd call them caves, where they studied. And he would paint an inspiration in each of these. Doesn't that look like the color spectrum? And then we move into high Renaissance, we meet the Flemish, this is the age of the guilds. The early monks, you know, they were painters like individuals, but here we developed the engineer, the draftsman, the painter, the paint maker, and an artist was really a guild. All the ones we know as, you know, the big famous ones, they didn't do everything. You know, they would just come in and they would conceptualize it and do touches, but the guild did it all. This is in Florence, and this is that ceiling. This is one of the most famous ceilings because it's all Afghanistani lapis. And lapis, even in those days, was extremely expensive. Came in on the Silk Road, had to cross all the way across, along with stained glass, salt, and various things on the Silk Road into Italy to fuse with the new humanist movement for the Italian Renaissance, the so-called Renaissance. But this is at the Church of the Holy Spirit, which is the area where I stay in, which is they call it the Holy Spirit area. This is where Michelangelo worked in his studios, and this is in this church in the back is where he actually studied what do you call it? Dissection. So this was very controversial because that was all done in secret. That was in his hiding, a period when he was in hiding. Raphael, do we see this perspective? We begin to see this Flemish use of colors. We begin to see a world view being made, a cathedral, the knowledge being where these murals then went back in the architecture to build this grand vision of a new humanity, a new way of looking, a new redemption. And I think we're gonna, I'll go back. I kind of missed it, but if you look, the cult of Mary is the cult of blue. All of the cloaks are ultramarine blue, and that's how we knew it. And so that was what I studied this last summer, was just went around to all the cloaks to make sure I got the folds and I got what they were doing. Last February, a year ago, I was in Egypt studying bas-relief, culture in general, colors again. There's your four colors.
Stan,
And here, this is Egyptian blue.
Stan, it's time for questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? I got a lot more slides. I'm gonna keep going. While you're waiting. So this is Egyptian blue. Ooh. Let me just go through Egypt real quick. This was in Cairo at the Coptic Christian area. You know, in Egypt is the center for the Abrahamic religions, both Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. So any questions? This was in Assisi. This is in Truckee. Have you ever been there?
Yeah.
You know, you've been in the train stations, below are the petroglyphs, you walk up.
Yeah.
So my students go up there, we study. So questions, does somebody have that? Speak real
Hi.
loud, I'm hard of hearing.
Be on the mic.
The reliefs for the Veteran Center in Golden One, are the materials you use wood?
No, it's a special material called corofoam. It's a polyurethane, fireproof, waterproof, used, it's what they use in making Hollywood sets and signs, you know, and so we use that. And it's ageless. It indoors, outdoors, it's amazing.
So beautiful, absolutely stunning work. Thank you.
Where are you? Oh, there.
I'm interested, how old were you when you realized you wanted to be an artist? How old were you when you first started drawing? Or know you wanted to be an
Consciously,
artist?
First grade. I had, I come from an older family. We lived in the woods and we were pickers and, you know, sustained ourselves. And I had a vision to do something with my life. I used to sit in the fields and draw in the gardens and stuff going, I'm not going to do this like these people. I'm going to do something. And I made a promise if I would do that, I would never forget where I come from. And that's why I haven't advanced in the artistic world so much, because I chose to give my work to community and not to museums or self-betterment. I have enough already. I'm not trying to be something. And at that time, I had a near-death experience. Just before going to kindergarten, I drowned. And I saw things, these colors. And ever since then, I painted those colors. Even when I'm laughed at, and I go, oh God, those are so garish, those are so gaudy. I go, I know, isn't it great?
Mr. Padilla, where would we look? Where would we go to find out where your murals are here in Sacramento? I'd like to be able to go find them.
Southside Park. I don't know, there's not really, we haven't gotten to that place where people, you know, I guess there's a list and there's maps and things. Go on Google. I mean, that's all I can tell you. I'm still painting, and that's what I wanted to show you, my current work. I'm not a historian. I don't even follow what I've done in the past. You know, I keep moving forward. I am going to renew that, the blue one with the sacred words. I'm going to do in June. We're working with the city now because it needs to be renewed.
I know you've been following blue for a number of years. Why did you choose blue?
It chose me. It's not like I'm trying to do this, and this is not a blue period and all of that stuff. But blue, if you think about it, is a unifying color. Everybody loves blue. We love the night sky. It gives us calmness. It actually represents space. The first time we all saw blue was in the 1960s when looking at Earth from outer space, what did we see? That was a unifying time. That was the time when we started saying ecology, ecological consciousness. We started talking about humanity again. We talked taking care of our homes, our planet. We saw planet as our home, not just Sacramento or California or the West. You know, we started seeing everything. So and I study it today. I just came from the art store with 2 new blues from
Your
This
Egyptian,
summer I was in Paris and I got, for those of you know blue, International Klein Blue, Yves Klein's original paint. It's being made again in small proportions.
and what is the
And I
min-
got some.
what is the Egyptian blue origin? Is it mineral or?
Plant and minerals transformed. They're both. The Mayan ones, they're forms of indigo, calcium carbonate, other little things. They're baked, crystallized, ground into powder. They're synthetic. They're not one source.
How about the Egyptian?
Same. I'm not so sure they're separate. We know that the Mayans and the Egyptians, ancient Kemet, not modern Islamic Egypt, but we're connected through boats, you know.
I just Googled you
Yeah.
and people can find you at Stan Padilla, Wide Open Walls.
Okay, and there's some. So we don't have time, but what I'm working on 3 projects right now. I'm working on a big, huge blue installation for American River College, and it's called The Journey from Knowledge to Wisdom. And it goes, you know, American River College is the most multi-ethnic college in the whole area. 12 languages are spoken there. So we're doing that. And it's fabulous, using the architecture of all the world. There's Egyptian. It's a portal into wisdom. I am then working in Folsom there's some big towers, working with art in the parks, state art in the parks, the Shingle Spring Band of Miwok Indians, and a professional artist, that's me, all fusing together to do this work that you'll see this summer.
Very nice, Stan. This is wonderful. Let's have another wonderful round of applause. This is really fascinating, and we'd really love to have you. We'd love to have you back and maybe give you more
Yeah.
time.
We only
Uh,
got halfway through.
Okay, what are you doing this summer? We have a summer program. Yeah, so maybe we'll work on that, work on something like that. But thank you very much. And as a token of our appreciation, we would like to offer you a 1-year honorary membership in our Renaissance Society.
Thank you.
We appreciate your being here. We also make a contribution in your name to the Seth Nelson Emergency Cares Fund, which benefits the students on campus who are
Great.
experiencing
Great.
difficulties